Hello, hello. Hi again, it's Elena. Hi from Comfy Learning. Hello, welcome to my live class. So my name is Elena Baraboy. I'm the founder of Comfy Learning. We are offering English and French language training online. Every week, I'm trying to find an interesting topic or a topic that people would need to know about to improve their English. And today, we're continuing to speak about verbs. Last week, we did a live where we tried to explain the logic behind the 9 main verb tenses in English. We have present simple, continuous, perfect, past simple, continuous and perfect, and future simple, continuous and perfect. We have 3 times, 3 time frames, and 3 aspects. And that's how it's good to know the logic, how they work. And so I explained all this and I said to myself, okay, how am I gonna help my students use them? So then, after some thinking, I decided that storytelling is going to help us learn how to use the verbs. Storytelling, or to telling a story, to tell a story, storytelling, is an activity where you tell stories. It's simple, of course. But stories usually happened in the past, right? Because now I have a recollection of it. I remember that something happened to me when I was taking a plane. I remember that something happened to us when we went to the store. So usually, in one of my classes when I speak about grammar, I like asking my students to tell me a story. So if you're with me right now live, or if you're going to watch this as a replay on my YouTube channel, oh, by the way, I have my YouTube channel, Comfy Learning. Go there on YouTube and watch some of my best videos right there, one after another. Speaking about my YouTube channel is going to have all my videos there after the Facebook Lives. So I decided to have save all my videos on the YouTube channel. For one day, I'm going to categorize them, and I'm going to have different topics. So today our live is about grammar, and storytelling is a strategy that teachers use to help their students use the tenses they need to tell a story. Now, I'm going to read to you a story about a guy and his tiger. There was a man, he lived in New York, and he had a tiger as a pet. So the story is about this man. His name was Brian Jackson. Let's see what happened to this guy. So I'm going to tell you the story, read to you the story slowly. Try to write down the verbs that you hear and understand. A man kept a 400-pound tiger in his apartment in Harlem, New York. He had been fined $2,500 and forbidden from keeping animals for 10 years. That's the beginning of the story. Now let's see how this happened, because the guy had been fined $2,500, yeah, to fine someone. Fine is an amende, il a reçu une amende. Brian Jackson had bought the Bengal tiger named Ming when it was just a cub. It had been living in his 4th floor apartment for 3 years, eating raw meat provided by Jackson, who worked as a butcher. Neighbors had often complained of strange smells and loud noises. Jackson's unusual pet came to light because he had had to go to hospital with cuts and bites to his arm. The tiger had attacked him in an apartment with the attempt to capture and kill a cat that he also kept in the apartment. So the tiger actually wanted to catch the cat, but instead accidentally bit the man, Brian. Police officers scaled down the outside of the building and fired tranquilizer darts through an open 4th floor window. They removed the tiger and also an alligator to a New York animal shelter. So the story is about about Brian Jackson, a guy who lived in New York, in Harlem. He had been fined $2,000 or more for keeping a tiger as a pet in his apartment. And no one would have found out if he hadn't gone to the hospital because he had some apparent cuts and bites on his arm. So see, in this story, we have verbs like he found, he bought, he worked as a butcher. So that's not the most important storytelling is to use past simple, of course. In past simple, people did something in the past. So he worked as a butcher, he found the cub, and so on. If we want to show that something happened before our main action, then I'm going to use past perfect. So he had bought the cub before he came home from what country? Where did he find him? Oh, he had bought the Bengal tiger named Ming when it was just a 3-month-old cub. So he had bought the cub. They had been living in his apartment. See, when we want to speak about the past that happened before our main actions, I'm going to use had done, had seen, had been going, had been working. So Brian and his Bengal tiger had been living in the apartment when neighbors complained. Main action. One day neighbors complained. Neighbors called the police. Main action. Before that, the tiger had been living in his apartment, in Brian's apartment for that much time. So one thing to remember is that when you tell a story in the past, you're going to use past simple, and then you're going to use past perfect continuous, had done, had been doing. Had bought the tiger, had been living in the apartment, he had been eating raw meat. See? Then, of course, we have a lot of past simple because the story unfolds. So they bought, the police called, neighbors complained, the police called, and then they took the tiger to an animal shelter. So the homework today is going to be the following. Try to tell me a story in written form. Of course, you can write it in my comments below this live. Try to write a story about something that happened to you or to people that you know in the past. And when you speak in the past, make sure that all the verbs are in the past simple, the main actions. We went, we saw, we did. If something happened before the main actions, then you use had been, had seen, had gone, past perfect. So try to use these two tenses to tell me a story. Of course, sometimes the story can unfold into the present, and then at the end you can say, until this day, I'm still afraid of the planes. Yeah? If the story is about something that you experienced on the plane and you felt fear, then you can continue the story into the present. It's a good idea to mix the tenses. Mixing tenses in a story shows that you master the language well, but also shows that the story has a repercussion, it has a consequence. The consequence which is, I'm still afraid of the planes because of what happened to me 2 years ago. See? Storytelling is a good idea, good strategy to use in language classes. We encourage our students to use as many verbs as possible. So you're very welcome to write any questions in the comments. I wanted to say thank you to those people who wrote to me directly on Confi Learning page. I'm happy to help all of you. Natalia, I know you're going to watch this live, so feel free to ask me any questions you have. With this, I'm going to wish you a great Wednesday and the rest of the week, and I'll see you next week with another live. If you have a topic that you would like me to look into and explain, you're very welcome to write to me. Bye. All the best.